Before the first light of dawn pierced London's skyline, a storm of urgency erupted across the royal residences. Phones buzzed with relentless calls, ripping senior royals from their restless slumber. The Queen's private secretary, his voice clipped and heavy with dread, issued an unyielding summons. His Majesty demands your presence at Buckingham Palace, immediately. No exceptions. As the cold morning sky bled pale, black cars glided silently through the palace gates, carrying Prince William, Catherine, Harry, and Camilla. Each arrived cloaked in a gnawing unease, their faces etched with suspicion, fear, and a flicker of ambition no one dared name. Inside the palace, the air was suffocating, thick with secrets poised to unravel. Footsteps echoed through gilded corridors as aides darted about, their heads bowed to avoid the royals' piercing gazes. The meeting room, steeped in centuries of regal tradition, felt like a battlefield before a war. William stood tall but rigid, his jaw locked tight, while Catherine's grip on his arm betrayed a quiet desperation to hold steady. Harry lingered at the room's edges, a hollowed-out version of himself, visibly uneasy in the company he now kept. And Camilla? She swept in with her signature poise, but her eyes, darting, restless, screamed a panic she couldn't fully conceal. Then she entered. Princess Anne, the monarchy's unyielding cornerstone, strode in last, her heels striking the polished floor like a war drum. In her hand, a sealed folder, its mere presence a silent thunderclap that set hearts racing. She met no one's gaze, but when her eyes locked with King Charles's for a fleeting, electric moment, the room felt the shift. A warning, a reckoning. Something unspoken passed between them, heavy with the weight of what was to come. Outside, the press swarmed like vultures, their lenses glinting in the pale light, sensing blood but blind to the cataclysm brewing within. Whispers of health crises, abdication, or even a constitutional scandal rippled through their ranks, but none could fathom the truth about to detonate. Inside the palace, staff, veterans of decades serving the crown, exchanged furtive glances and hushed murmurs of coups and betrayal. "I've never seen fear like this," one whispered, voice trembling. "Not even in Diana's darkest days." As the royals gathered around the grand oak table, an eerie silence took hold. Every rustle of fabric, every shallow breath seemed to echo. Then Anne, with deliberate precision, placed the sealed folder before her. The room held its breath, the tension so thick it was almost tangible. With a voice sharp as a blade, she shattered the stillness. Her words aimed directly at Camilla. "You've made a mockery of this family." Gasps ripped through the room. Camilla froze, her face caught between defiance and raw panic, as Anne unleashed her first bombshell. Camilla had orchestrated clandestine meetings with senior palace aides, meetings kept hidden even from King Charles himself. Her goal? To dismantle William and Catherine's influence, paving a path for her own grandchildren to leapfrog the sacred line of succession. William's fists clenched, his knuckles whitening against the polished wood. Catherine's eyes shimmered with disbelief, her hand tightening on William's arm. Even Harry, long detached from palace intrigues, straightened in his seat, a rare fire flashing in his haunted gaze. Camilla's lips parted to protest, her voice trembling with denial, but Anne silenced her with a single raised hand. The evidence was merciless. Letters in Camilla's unmistakable handwriting, each word a calculated step in a chilling plan to paint William as unfit for the crown. Secret payments, staggering sums funneled to offshore accounts, bought the silence and complicity of trusted aides. One letter, its words underlined with cold intent, spoke of removing obstacles. The phrase hung in the air like a guillotine, slicing through the room's fragile calm. Charles, pale and trembling, seemed to shrink into his chair, the betrayal carving deep lines into his weathered face. Camilla's desperate cries of forgery fell flat, her signatures on the documents undeniable, their clarity a death knell to her defense. But Anne was far from finished. She revealed her own covert pursuit, trailing Camilla through the palace's forgotten corridors in the dead of night. In abandoned wings, where even the guards grew drowsy, Camilla met shadowy figures, financiers tied to buried scandals, disgraced former staff with axes to grind. These weren't chance encounters, Anne declared, but meticulously planned meetings, sealed from any official record, conducted in whispers with eyes always on the door. Bags of untraceable cash changed hands, carried in by aides and spirited away by men Anne described as those you'd never want to cross. Her voice cracked, just for a moment, as she admitted the sickness she felt watching it unfold, clutching the folder that now held the proof of Camilla's schemes. The family sat frozen, the weight of her words sinking in. Plans to manipulate public opinion, to discredit William's leadership, to paint Catherine as unfit. Every detail was calculated, every risk weighed with cold precision. Then came the gut punch that shook the room to its core. Anne produced letters from Diana, hidden by Camilla for decades, stashed in secret drawers and locked boxes within her private study. The moment Anne's hand brushed the final envelope, the air grew heavier still. Her voice trembled, not with weakness, but with barely restrained fury, as she read Diana's words aloud. In hurried, heartfelt script, Diana had confessed fears she'd kept from even her closest confidants. Camilla's ambitions stretched far beyond Charles, threatening to undermine her sons, William and Harry. "She will not stop," Diana wrote, "until she has what she believes is hers, and it will cost my boys everything if no one sees it." William's voice broke the silence, a whisper that cut like a scream. She knew. Catherine's hand trembled as she reached for him, her eyes brimming with tears she could no longer hide. Harry stared, unblinking, his face a storm of horror and bitter recognition. Camilla's composure shattered, her cheeks flushed with anger as she denied ever seeing the letters, claiming they were planted to frame her. But Anne unfolded another sheet, Diana's unmistakable handwriting staring back, her unique turns of phrase and signature sealing the truth. The room erupted into chaos, gasps, suppressed sobs, and barely contained fury. But Anne pressed on, relentless. She unveiled a hidden trust fund in Camilla's name, swollen with millions from anonymous donors tied to long-buried scandals. Bank statements traced payments to aides' families, mortgages paid off overnight, unexplained bonuses delivered in secret, all in exchange for their silence. More damning still, funds flowed to the guardians of Camilla's grandson, each deposit timed with chilling precision to her plan to elevate him toward the throne. Offshore accounts, stamped and authenticated, laid bare a web of deceit that stretched far beyond the palace walls. Even the aides lining the room shifted uncomfortably, unable to meet Anne's unflinching gaze. With the family reeling, Anne delivered her ultimatum. "Leave quietly, Camilla, or I take this to the public." Her voice, steady but laced with molten rage, left no room for negotiation. Camilla's carefully built empire crumbled before their eyes. Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded, her voice cracking with desperation. She claimed it wasn't greed, but fear that drove her. Fear for a monarchy she believed William and Catherine were too naive to protect. She cast herself as the crown's unlikely savior, her schemes a desperate bid to shield it from poison lurking beyond the palace gates. "You think I wanted to hurt you?" she cried, her voice rising through sobs. "I've only ever tried to save what you're too blind to see slipping away." One by one, the royals fled the room, unable to bear the weight of each other's eyes. Charles was the first to vanish, retreating to his private quarters, his face ashen, his shoulders heavy with defeat. Not even his most loyal aides dared follow. Camilla lingered, motionless, before gathering herself. Head bowed, eyes fixed on the floor, she slipped out of the palace, her future as uncertain as the throne she'd tried to reshape. William and Catherine stayed a moment longer, their hands finding each other instinctively. Their silence spoke volumes, a vow to protect what remained of their family, to never let it fracture again. Anne remained behind, alone at the table, her eyes fixed on the empty space where secrets had been torn open. The folder lay before her, unopened now, but no less powerful, a testament to her unbreakable resolve. She knew the path ahead would be treacherous, but she had rewritten the monarchy's rules forever. As the palace gates closed, shielding the world from the storm within, those who had witnessed it knew one truth: nothing would ever be the same. Will the crown recover from this betrayal, or has Anne's stand altered its destiny forever? If this tale of royal intrigue gripped you, smash that subscribe button on our YouTube channel for more jaw-dropping revelations. Like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What's next for the monarchy? Stay tuned for more, and join our community to never miss an update.